Eli Grant sat on the cold metal floor of the alien chamber. His wrists were tied with glowing bands, warm to the touch. The walls around him pulsed with a soft blue light. It was quiet. Too quiet. He had no idea how long he had been there. His memory was broken. He remembered crashing. The rescue pod. Then lights. Strange figures. And then this room. Suddenly the door hissed open. A group of tall aliens entered. Their skin was smooth like polished stone, and their eyes were black and deep. They wore robes that shimmered like oil on water. They didn't speak. They only stared. Eli stood up slowly. His legs trembled, not from fear, but confusion. "Who are you?" he asked. "What do you want from me?" The tallest alien stepped forward. Her voice was soft, musical, and layered. "You are the human, the one from the forbidden planet. Earth," Eli said carefully. The alien smiled. "Yes, Earth, where the nectar is born." "Nectar?" Eli frowned. "What nectar?" She didn't answer. Instead, she waved her long fingers, and a small floating orb appeared. It moved toward Eli, stopping just inches from his chest. The orb glowed red, then green, then purple. The alien whispered something to the others, their eyes widened. "His levels are perfect," one said in awe. "This human is ripe." "Ripe for what?" Eli shouted. "What is this place?" The aliens turned to leave. "Prepare the chamber," the leader said. "We begin at sunrise." Later that night, Ellie couldn't sleep. The room was too bright, too strange, and too quiet. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw flashes of his family, of Earth, of freedom. He touched the glowing cuffs on his wrist. They didn't hurt, but they hummed with energy. No way to break them. He sat back, breathing slowly. Then he heard it, a soft door click. Someone had entered. It was a smaller alien, young maybe, thinner and with wide, curious eyes. He held something in his hands, a small, silver needle. Eli backed away. "What is that?" The alien didn't answer. He stepped close, reached out and touched Eli's neck. Gently, the needle pricked him. A tiny drop of blood slid down his skin. The alien quickly caught it with a glass spoon. Then, to Eli's horror, the alien tasted it. The reaction was instant. The alien dropped to the floor, gasping. His eyes rolled back. He let out a strange sound, a moan of pleasure. His limbs twitched. Eli panicked. "What the hell? What did you do?" The alien sat up slowly, eyes full of wonder. "It's true," he whispered. "The flavor of fear, the warmth of memory, the taste of sorrow." Eli stared in disbelief. "You're tasting emotions?" "You are the source," the alien said, standing. "You are the nectar, your body, your pain, your truth." Eli's heart raced. The alien turned to leave but paused at the door. "Tomorrow the queen will taste you. She has waited centuries. You should feel honored." "Honored?" Eli whispered, now shaking. "You're going to eat me?" "Not all of you," the alien smiled. "Just the parts that feel the most." Then he was gone. Early morning, the chamber changed overnight. Machines surrounded Eli now, some scanning his heartbeat, others monitoring his breathing. A long silver table stood in the center. Soft music played from hidden speakers. The queen entered. She was taller than the others, her robe covered in glowing symbols. Her voice was soft, but her presence was cold. She walked around Eli slowly like a lion around a lamb. "You are perfect," she said. Eli didn't speak. His throat was dry. She reached out and placed a finger on his forehead. Instantly, memories from his past flashed in his mind, his childhood dog, his mother's hug, the day he left Earth. He gasped. "So much flavor," the queen whispered. "The old legend spoke of this. A human soul is complex, layered, emotional. It is delicious." Eli looked up, angry now. "I'm not food." "Oh, but you are," she replied calmly. "You are a masterpiece. Machines buzzed. Lights blinked. The queen turned to her chefs. Begin slow extraction. We will savor him, drop by drop. Eli screamed, but no one heard. His terror had only just begun, and for the aliens, the feast was only beginning. The young alien chef named Zenari stood trembling outside the queen's chamber. He had made a terrible mistake. No one was allowed to taste the human before the royal tasting, but he had done it. One drop of the human's blood, and now his senses were on fire. He could still feel the echo of emotions, fear, love, grief. It wasn't just taste, it was experience. And he was addicted. He looked at his hands. They were still shaking. Pull yourself together, he whispered to himself. The queen must not know. But she already did. Zenari, a voice called from behind. He turned. It was head chef Vurat, a massive alien with sharp fingers and black teeth. His eyes glowed dimly. You tasted it, didn't you? Vurat asked. Zenari froze. Vurat didn't wait for an answer. I did too, just a vapor. When they brought him in, Zenari whispered, how is it even real? How can emotion have flavor? Vurat looked toward the chamber door. The legends said humans once ruled the taste realms. Their feelings were so deep, so wild, that their biology turned it into nectar. It was banned, hidden, forgotten. Until now, Zenari said. Inside the preparation room, Ellie was strapped to a long metal table now. Small needles poked his skin. None painful, just cold. Tubes carried fluids away from him to glowing containers nearby. Above him, a massive dome spun slowly. Cameras, lights, and tools hung from it like insect legs. He felt like a lab rat. A speaker buzzed. The queen's voice came through. We will begin small, dear human, one memory, one flavor. We must study the recipe of your soul. Eli gritted his teeth. I'm not a dish. No, the voice replied. You are the banquet. A machine activated, a beam of soft light touched his forehead. Instantly, a memory surfaced. Not a painful one, but warm. His 10th birthday. His father had made a chocolate cake. They ate it on the roof while watching a meteor shower. He could almost taste it again. But this time, so could the aliens. Across the chamber, Vurat closed his eyes and inhaled deeply. This one, it tastes like starlight, like earth joy. Zenari whispered, but it's not complete. He's holding back. Then make him remember loss, Vurat said coldly. Real flavor comes from real sorrow. A secret meeting that night when the machines stopped humming and the lights dimmed, Zenari snuck into Eli's room. Eli sat on the floor, barely awake. You again? Eli muttered. What now? You want to lick my tears? Zenari knelt beside him. I want to help. Eli looked at him with tired eyes. Why? Zenari hesitated, then said, Your nectar changed me. For the first time I felt. I saw beauty. I saw sadness. I saw what it means to be alive. Eli didn't respond. Zenari leaned closer. Do you know why you're here? Truly? Eli shook his head. Zenari whispered, Your body produces something we've lost long ago. Your emotions. Make it powerful. They feed it. The queen wants to harvest it, not just from you, but from all humans. She calls you the first course. Eli's heart skipped a beat. Are there others? Zenari nodded slowly. Your kind is being hunted. Across the stars. The royal kitchen. Meanwhile, the queen stood before a long golden table. Holograms floated above it. Images of humans in cages in labs across different planets. A council of chefs stood with her. We must begin the harvest, she said. The first human is ripe. Soon, more will arrive. The taste of their truth will bring our empire back to glory. But Vurat raised a hand. Your Grace, we should move slowly. His nectar is unstable. The queen frowned. Unstable? It changes, Vurat said. It grows. The more he feels, the more powerful it becomes. She considered that. Then we must make him feel everything. She turned to the hologram of Eli. Bring in the grief catalyst. Eli's nightmare. The next morning, a machine injected something into Eli's neck. He screamed as visions began to swirl. He saw his sister drowning, his mother fading in a hospital bed, his dog crushed under rubble. None of it was real, but it felt true. He cried. He shook, and outside the room the chefs gasped. Zenari fell to his knees, overwhelmed. This is it, Vurat whispered. The perfect flavor, the grand memory, the nectar of despair. The queen smiled. Serve it. To me. A silver spoon was dipped into the vial of Eli's collected tears and fluids. It was brought to her lips. She tasted it. Her eyes widened. And then she laughed. Prepare the banquet, she declared. The menu is human, and tonight, the galaxy feasts. The banquet hall was silent. Hundreds of alien nobles sat in a circle of floating platforms, all dressed in shimmering robes. They were the elite of the galaxy, rulers, judges, scientists, kings, and tonight, they came not for politics or war. They came to taste a human. Eli stood in the center, surrounded by glass. He was no longer just a prisoner. He was a symbol, a centerpiece. A servant approached the queen. In his hands he held a golden bowl, filled with a glowing fluid. It was Eli's tears, collected after hours of painful memory injections. The queen dipped her fingers into the bowl and placed one drop on her tongue. Her eyes closed. She whispered, "This is love. Lost. Broken. Burning." She turned to the guests. "We do not feed tonight. We feel." Hours before the banquet, Zenari had returned to Eli's chamber, this time without fear. Eli sat on a cold bench, still shaking from the visions. Forced into his mind, his eyes were red, his voice cracked. "I can't do this," Eli said. "They're killing me from the inside." Zenari nodded. "That is their way. They don't kill the body. They drain the spirit." Eli looked up. "Why? Why me?" Zenari sat beside him. "Because you're rare. Your kind still feels deeply. Pain, hope, longing. We lost those long ago." "Why?" Zenari whispered. "Because we chose logic, control. When we stopped feeling, our bodies stopped producing the essence, the nectar." He looked at Eli. "You are not just food. You are a reminder of everything we buried." Ritual preparations in the lower chambers. Alien priests performed ancient rituals to cleanse Eli's spirit. He was forced to breathe sacred smoke, to hear songs made of static and screams, to drink bitter blue liquid that caused hallucinations. He saw himself in a mirror, but the reflection was smiling even as he cried. "What is this?" he asked. A voice answered, "Your true flavor is awakening." Then darkness took him. The tasting ceremony. At the queen's signal, the chefs began to extract from Eli's skin drops of sweat flavored by fear, drops of blood shaped by grief, and tears infused with longing. Each guest was served one drop. Just one. It was enough. Some cried, some screamed. One noble collapsed, shaking, whispering, "I saw my mother again. She forgave me." Zenari watched it all from behind the glass. He saw the queen smile, but not from power. From something else. Regret. Meanwhile, a vision inside. Eli's mind, in his unconscious state, Eli saw a child. It was himself, young and laughing. Beside him was a woman, alien, but gentle. She held his hand. "Who are you?" Eli asked. "I am what you unlock," she said. "You are not just flavor. You are fire." "What does that mean?" "They forgot their soul. You remind them. You awaken what they buried." Eli woke up, gasping. Reality returns. He stood in the chamber again, facing the queen. She stepped forward, looking into his eyes. "Do you know what you've done, human?" "No." "You made gods feel guilt," she whispered. "You made kings cry. You poisoned logic with emotion. She leaned in closer. And that is sacred. A secret revealed. Zanari ran to an old archive, his mind buzzing. He remembered something. An old scroll once banned by the council. Inside it were diagrams of humans with glowing hearts. Legends said their sorrow could heal planets. Their joy could restart dying stars. And their nectar? It was not food. It was a cure. A cure for a dying galaxy. Zanari held the scroll close, whispering, "They're not our delicacy. They're our only hope." The final act of Part 3. Ellie stood in front of a mirror again, now dressed in silk robes. They were preparing him for a new ritual, not to eat him, but to worship him. The queen bowed before him, offering a golden spoon. "Bless us," she said, "with your pain, with your purity." Eli didn't know whether to scream, cry, or laugh, because in this twisted world, his suffering was divine. They took Eli's name away. From this moment on, he was no longer Eli Grant. The queen had renamed him Flavor Bearer. He stood naked, wrapped only in soft alien mist, inside a round chamber with no corners. The walls pulsed with a heartbeat, his heartbeat. And the floor was soft like skin. Above him, hundreds of alien faces watched from dark balconies. This was the flavor chamber, and it was alive. Minutes earlier, Zanari rushed through the underground halls of the palace. He had broken into the sacred archive again. This time he didn't care who saw him. What he found was worse than legend. The flavor chamber was not just a room. It was a being, ancient, hungry, forgotten by time. It didn't just taste humans. It fed off their souls. "They're not preparing him for tasting," Zanari whispered. "They're preparing him for sacrifice." Inside the chamber, Ellie tried to speak, but his voice vanished. The air itself swallowed his words. The lights grew dim. A strange vibration moved through his bones. Then the chamber spoke, not with words but with emotion. He felt cold, deep sadness, a loneliness so heavy, it bent his knees. He dropped to the floor, crying. But they weren't his tears. They were the chamber's. Outside, the queen watched. "Begin phase 2, she ordered. A series of tall tubes descended from the ceiling. Inside each tube was an alien memory. Preserved sorrow, ancient shame, frozen pain. These memories were inserted directly into Eli's nervous system, one by one. The first memory, Ellie gasped as he felt it. He was a child again, but not his own child. He was a little alien girl hiding in rubble, screaming as bombs fell from human ships. He felt her terror, her confusion, her death. Then, darkness. When Eli opened his eyes again, the chamber had changed. A part of its wall now glowed red. That was the taste of war. The second memory. This time, Eli was a royal scientist. He watched his family die in front of him because he chose to protect data over people. The guilt crushed him. He vomited. He begged himself for forgiveness. It never came. The chamber glowed blue now. That was the taste of regret. Zanari's warning back in the royal kitchen. Zanari grabbed Vurat by the arm. "They're killing him," Zanari said. "The chamber is waking up." Vurat frowned. "Waking up?" Zanari showed him the forbidden scrolls. The flavor chamber was once sealed because it feeds on emotion so strongly it can kill entire species. "And now we're feeding it a human?" Vurat whispered. "That's madness." "No," Zanari said. "It's extinction." Back inside, Eli changed daily, no longer knew who he was. His memories mixed with others. His mind held the grief of thousands. He began to glow. Soft, golden light leaked from his eyes, his chest, his palms. The chamber responded by wrapping him in energy tendrils. The audience gasped. Some even fell to their knees. This wasn't flavor. This was evolution. The queen's final mistake. She stepped forward, her voice trembling for the first time. "Give me the purest drop." A drop of light lifted from Eli's chest and hovered toward her mouth. She tasted it, and then she screamed. She saw everything, every war, every betrayal, every lie told in love, every mother who lost a child, every hero who died alone, and worst of all, she saw herself, naked, weak, crying in her mother's arms, something the queen had erased centuries ago. She fell to the floor, broken. The chamber speaks. A low hum echoed through the entire palace. It wasn't sound, it was thought. You brought me sorrow. Now feel mine. The chamber unleashed a wave of pure emotion across the royal city. Chefs dropped their knives. Guards wept like children. Leaders screamed the names of lovers they abandoned. Kings begged for hugs from mothers long dead. And in the middle of it all, Eli stood, glowing brighter than any star. Zenari entered the chamber. He saw Eli no longer just human, but something more. Not a god, not a weapon, a mirror, and the galaxy was finally seeing itself. His name was Lord Zarn, the high priest of the Taste Council, born from ice and silence, raised to never show emotion. He had tasted suns, he had swallowed oceans, he had eaten galaxies and metaphors, but never, in 10,000 years, had he wept. Until now. The fallout begins. The emotion wave released by the flavor chamber had reached the far ends of the palace. It moved like light, like fire, like a memory once locked behind walls. Aliens dropped to their knees across every floor. Some screamed in languages long extinct. Some hugged strangers. Some called out to long-dead lovers, mothers, fathers, names never spoken aloud. And in the center of it all, Eli stood glowing, his chest rising and falling like he carried all their pain. Zenari watched in shock. He had come to save Eli, but what he saw was a miracle. He's not just alive, Zenari whispered. He's changing us. Furat, standing beside him, had tears in his eyes. I remember, my brother, the last time he smiled. I buried that memory. Until now, Zenari whispered. The nectar didn't make us better chefs. It made us better beings. Lord Zarn enters. The ancient priest stepped into the shattered chamber, robes soaked in starlight fabric, hands trembling. He looked at Eli, who now floated inches above the floor. What are you? Zarn whispered. Why does my chest ache? Eli opened, his mouth, but his voice had changed. He spoke not in sound, but in feeling, and Zarn felt it. A human boy, alone on Earth, building a kite for a father who never came home. A dog that waited at the door. A letter never sent. A goodbye never said. Zarn dropped to his knees and wept. The addiction begins across the galaxy, hidden in secret halls. Alien nobles and black market dealers began to hunt for human nectar. They didn't want food anymore. They wanted emotion, pure, raw, untamed. Some aliens paid entire planets just to get a drop of a human tear. Others kidnapped humans not to hurt them but to feel through them. A strange new market was born, the emotion trade. And Eli? He became a myth, a message from Earth in the deepest part of the archive. Zenari unlocked a lost signal. A human. Transmission, centuries old, a female voice, shaky but kind. If they find us, tell them we're not perfect. But we feel. We try. And maybe that's enough. Zenari played it over and over. Every time it made him cry. The Queen Fedas, the once powerful queen, now sat alone in her chamber, silent and still. No guards, no chefs, no gold robes. She stared at her hands. For the first time, she felt shame. For the first time, she felt weakness, but also something else. Hope. Eli's vision alley was not unconscious, but somewhere in between. He saw visions of alien, children painting stars. He saw a young warrior laying down her weapon to hug her enemy. He saw a world where taste did not divide but connect, and in the center of all visions stood a boy, himself, still broken, still scared, but no longer alone. Zenari knelt before Eli and whispered, "You're not a meal, you're a mirror." And the galaxy, he said, has seen its own face, and it was crying. The first drop caused silence. The second drop caused whispers. By the third drop of Eli's essence, the entire palace was burning with something the galaxy hadn't known for 1,000 years. Emotion. And then came the screams. Not of pain, but of awakening. Zenari speaks outstanding before the Taste Council. Zenari raised his voice. A voice that once trembled in fear now thundered with fire. We built palaces on emptiness, he said. We crowned ourselves with hunger. He pointed to the memory scrolls, burning behind him. But the humans, they carry truth. Their feelings are not weakness, they are the key we lost. Some chefs looked away. Others clapped softly. One noble threw down his spoon. No more tastings, she declared. No more flavor extractions. The emotion plague spreads across space. Every alien who had even tasted a single molecule of human nectar began to change. They remembered old loves. They heard long-forgotten lullabies. They forgave. They cried. But the old leaders, the keepers of control, declared it a plague. Emotion weakens us, they roared. We must burn the humans before the galaxy forgets how to obey. Warships were launched, bounties placed, and Eli became the most wanted soul in the stars. Eli is no longer alone deep inside a hidden sanctuary. Eli woke with a gasp. He wasn't glowing anymore, but his heart still carried fire. Beside him stood other humans, rescued by rebels, children, scientists, artists, soldiers. You saved us, one whispered. No, Eli said softly. You saved me. The rebellion grows, in secret kitchens across alien planets. Chefs refused orders. Instead of extracting human flavor, they began to study human emotion. They built temples instead of kitchens, libraries instead of labs. In the shadows, they called it the nectar movement. And its symbol, a single tear, inside a spoon. The queen false on night. The queen entered the flavor chamber alone. No guards, no servants, just her and the chamber's cold breath. She whispered, I feel now. I feel everything. The chamber pulsed once, then again. And for the first time, the queen offered herself. She placed a drop of her own sorrow on the altar. No more lies, she said. Let this be redemption. And then she vanished. Her robes left floating in silence. The final attack begins, but the old rulers would not go quietly. A coalition of warlords launched a campaign to destroy the humans once and for all. They called it Operation Silence. They didn't want to kill bodies. They wanted to erase memories. They built emotion nullifiers, weapons that could sterilize feelings across entire planets. And Eli was their primary target. Eli stood on the rebel ship's deck watching stars bend around them. Zenari walked beside him. The final war is coming. Eli nodded. We're not fighting for survival anymore. Zenari looked confused. Then for what? Eli smiled sadly. For feeling. The vial was small, clear, glowing, and inside it, a single golden tear floated gently, the last drop of Eli's essence, extracted during the darkest hour of his captivity, the moment when he lost all hope, then found it again. It was not pain, not joy. It was everything. And now, it could destroy the galaxy or save it. The Council of Fire, in the broken ruins of an ancient alien citadel, leaders of the rebellion had gathered. Zenari stood at the center, holding the vial in shaking hands. This is not a weapon, he said. It's a reminder. Some aliens shouted in fear. If we release that emotion across the stars, one said, entire planets will collapse from grief. Another whispered, or rise in love. The enemy approaches above them. Thousands of warships appeared, sent by the last emotionless empire, the Order of Silence. They prepared to fire their emotion nullifiers, weapons that could wipe out all feelings within light years. The target, Earth. Eli stepped forward. If they erase who we are, what we feel, then we're already dead. He held up the vial. But if we release this, everyone will remember. A memory storm Zanari activated the chamber core, connecting the vial to the galactic emotion web. The moment the last drop touched the energy threads, the galaxy cried out. Billions of souls, alien and human alike, felt it. Children dropped their weapons. Old enemies held each other. Strangers screamed the names of their first heartbreaks. Cold kings fell to their knees. Some died, overwhelmed. But most, they were reborn. Earth awakens. Earth, skies turned violet. People looked up, their hearts beating with memories they'd forgotten. The smell of rain, a father's laugh, the pain of goodbye, the beauty of being alive. The order of silence collapses in the heart of the enemy fleet. Generals tried to activate their weapons, but one by one they broke down crying. I had a daughter, whispered one commander. I used to hold her while she slept. Another threw down his gun. Why did we ever fear this? The final momentary fell to his knees, his glow dimming, his body weak. What's happening to him? Zanari cried. A voice inside them answered. He gave too much. Eli's body had become the bridge. The emotion web flowed through him. He had not just shared his feelings, he had become the galaxy's heart. Eli disappears, his body faded into light. Not death, transformation, and in his place stood nothing, just the echo of a heartbeat, felt in every being across every star. 1 year later, galaxies rebuilt. Wars stopped. Temples to emotion were raised. Aliens and humans lived together, arguing, laughing, crying, and every home had a small silver spoon hanging on the wall. Inside it, a tiny symbol of a tear. He stood before a class of young aliens and humans. What was he? One child asked. Zanari smiled. Not a god. Not a soldier. Not even a hero. Then what? Zanari looked at the sky. Just a human who dared to feel.